Now, in one of the folders inside this video tutorial series, you're going to find one that says Unreal, and inside of that, you're going to see something that's DE control rigs. And those are the two control rigs that I created. If you want to use them, let me show you how to install them, or how I install them. So I have an existing Unreal Engine project, which is this DAZ to Unreal 8. So just double click that, and then under content, open that up. And then this is where we're going to place the DE control rig. All right. And then that's it. That's all you have to do. So if we come back here, if we double click this project now, you can see here are our two control rigs. Okay, now to set them up, go ahead and open each one. And they're basically the same thing, just slightly different. So what you do is, with it selected, you're going to come over here to preview scene and preview mesh. And so go ahead and select your skeletal mesh. And then compile. Let's do the same for this one. Compile. And so this is a control rig, and this is what we're going to be using next inside of a level sequence. The difference between these two is in the arms, basically. Every other control is the same. What's different is right in here. So you have control over the shoulder and the elbow, where this one you don't. All you have control over is up in here on the collar, and then you have these guys. And what they do is they control the positioning of the elbow. It depends on, what works best for you in your workflow. So these little handy guys are, I don't know what to call them. They're actually pull vectors, they're called. So these pull vectors really help when you're animating. And again, this one has pull vectors on the elbows, and this one does not. You're still able to kind of, move stuff around. So depending on your workflow, whichever one works best for you. I kind of prefer this one, but that's just me. All right, so you've set up your two IKs, which means that you can now use them, okay? So let's come back here to our project, and then I'll show you how to use them next. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create a level sequence. So just right-click in your content browser, Animation, Level Sequence. Go ahead and double-click to open that. And then let's bring our pawn onto the stage and rotate 180. Now with your figure selected, come over here to track, actor to sequence. Now you see a bunch of gobbledygook up in here. That's for the MetaHuman face rig. Just disregard that. Now, one thing you need to understand is right now we're looking at the pawn modern military. We want to import an animation. We can't do that to the pawn. We need to do it to the skeletal mesh, which is modern military. Okay, so what we need to do is come down here, click on track, and then you can see all the bits and pieces that we've been playing with inside of our pawn, and one of them is my skeletal mesh. So I'm going to click that, click on that layer, track, animation, and then I'm going to get this animation that we've been working with, which is the walk forward. Okay, you can see here's the animation. We want to get this red bar, bring it all the way over. Make sure we're in loop mode. And then let's click play and see what we got. All right, pretty good. Now click on your mesh and let's bring in our control rig. So we're going to alter this animation because this hand is hitting the gun. Our left hand is not in a gun pose. We need to create that. And we're kind of clipping into the leg a little bit. So right click, bake to control rig, and then you're presented with those two control rigs that we just set up. And now you can see our control rig is in place. And you're about to see how powerful they are to help us alter our animations. So this control rig right now, that's where the animation is resting, okay? We open it up, you can see there's all the body parts, and here are all the keyframes for each body part. We're going to actually create an additive layer. So let's rename this additive layer. And then if you open it up, you have all of the body parts, but absolutely no keyframes. And that's the beauty part about an additive layer. It preserves the original animation, and it allows you to put a layer over the top and just kind of tweak, push, and pull little body parts. So the underlying animation is still playing. You're just doing small little spaces that open stuff up for us. So we want to make sure that we're in keyframe mode. And I'm going to select this control, go into local mode, and for now I'm going to keep snaps on and just do a 5 degree. And when you make a change, you need to press this keyframe. And now you can see that hand isn't clipping into the gun anymore. Just do the same for this. And I prefer working with snaps when I can, because if I don't like what I've done, I can easily remove it. You could easily remove it by just removing the keyframe as well. Yeah, you know what? And I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's bring this in just a little bit. Actually, it looks like we need to kind of push the feet out. They seem to be just slightly intersecting. So let's grab the foot control. I am now going to go into world mode. And we're just going to do, yeah, a very slight. All right. Now let's create a gun pose for our left hand. We're going to need to do this not in the additive layer. We're actually going to have to do our business in the animation. Now, we're going to be destroying the original animation at this point. Not that big of a deal. You just need to understand that. So what I'm going to do is select all of my left hand body parts. So holding down Shift, I'm going to click on left pinky, which selects all of those effectors, they're called. So now I am going to select all of the keyframes but the first one and delete. And then now it's just a matter of grabbing a body part, rotating it, and creating a gun grip, okay? Takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, but you have all of these controls right here. Sometimes it's best to select from in here and select two of them. And again, I like snaps. I like being in local. And what you can do is move both of those at the same time. And that seems to work out really well. And then sometimes it doesn't work really well. There we go. Now let's create a little room here. So I'm going to grab this dude. And let's grab ring 1. And let's grab mid 1. All right. Now, after you move, well, let's get this thumb going on here. Okay, so after that crash, that was exciting. I've brought our figure right back to where we were. And what we were doing is we selected all of these body parts for the hand. For the left hand. And we moved those fingers into position. Now, one of the great things about the level sequence is you're given all of these new tools to play with. One of them is called poses. So what you can do is create a pose. So with all of your effectors selected, create the pose, name it, and then create the asset. And then what you're going to get is this. Now, one of the neat things about this is you can deselect everybody, select that pose, and then select the controls, and they automatically get selected for you. So that's really cool. All right, and then you have that pose that you can use anytime you want. So that is how you use the control rig. Hope you don't crash. Now, one of the great things about these two control rigs is they have something on it that's called a backwards solve. And what that means to you is you can import an animation and apply the control rig to that animation and then be able to do your business like we've been doing. Not all control rigs have backwards solve. So that kind of separates it from the rest of them in that, you're able to actually apply it to an animation because you would want to do that anyways. Control rigs that don't have backward solves, basically you're kind of doing stop motion animation, and you know what that's going to look like. So there you go, just a little bit more information. All right, now let's go ahead and save this animation. So I've gone ahead and created a new folder, called it Animations Level Sequence. And so within your sequencer, you're going to click on your skeletal mesh, and I think the best thing to do is bake to animation sequence. Oh, how'd we get in there? Oh, that doesn't look familiar. Okay, so let's go here. There we go. And we're going to call this walk forward sequence. Now you can see it because it comes onto the screen. So there it is in all its glory. The neat thing about it is what we can do is save our level sequence. All right, and then we can kill the sequencer. But when we go to the animation level sequence, we can open it up, and what we can do is edit in sequencer with the control rig that we were using. Now, it didn't bring the pawn into place. Let's delete this guy. But you're still able to work with the control rig. We could have done the very same thing a different way, but this works just as well. Okay, so it's just a different way to save stuff. All right, and then just for fun, Well, all right, that's going to do it for our Unreal Engine Masterclass number 2. We did a lot of work in this one, you guys. You did a great job. We have a metahuman head and a Daz figure combined. We added a bunch of stuff to our figure, accessorizing it. We did some morph animations, which you can see happening on our figure right here. We had to get into the material editor and do a linear gradient for that combination metahuman head and Daz figure. We got to play with control rigs. That was something completely new. So you learned how to bring those into action and plug your figure into that. And again, we dealt with the Daz figure and the metahuman head and bringing that together with this animation that you see here. Speaking of animations, we got to play with the control rig and alter some animations and make that work seamlessly for us. The control rig is definitely a game changer when you're working with animations, without any doubt. Now, and then we got to work with LOD syncing, which was something kind of brand new. Now that's a heck of a lot of work, if you ask me. Not only that, but I think the end result really plays out quite nice. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you've learned something, then there's one more tutorial out there for you, and that one's going to be a great one.